But, back to the traditional world, we protect our big markets. Competition's important, especially New York, Chicago, LA, where you have so many teams. And our interview is quite special this week. It's a good friend, Gillian Zucker. She was the head of the Auto Club Speedway, a NASCAR, the facility in Fontana, from 2005 to 14. But more important than that, she was appointed as the chief executive president of basketball operations for the Los Angeles Clippers in 2014 by Steve Ballmer. And she's been in that role for almost 5 years. A really interesting perspective. Here's Gillian Zucker.
A person who I count as a good friend who has moved into a position of significant leadership in the NBA with the Los Angeles Clippers, Gillian Zucker, hired by the Clippers on November 6, 2014, and never looked back. She was at the Auto Club Speedway, ran that, and one of the foremost, you hate to say foremost women executives in sports. That's not an appropriate title. She's one of the foremost executives in sports. How does that sound?
Thanks, Rick. I love that. I don't know if I've earned that title, but I love the way that you've said that. No qualifiers.
You most certainly earned that title with no qualifiers. So it's been, and it is hard to believe, we talked about it off the air, almost 4 years since you left the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana and took this job on. And before we even start getting into branding and otherwise, has it been all you expected it to be? Any surprises? Happy with it?
No, it has not been what I expected it to be. It has been so much more. It's really extraordinary to be a part of the NBA. I think especially during this moment in time, how exciting this league is, how collaborative it is, how focused it is on community and fans and innovation and technology and what's next. And it's really been a delight, and I would say that coupled with the opportunity to work with, I think, one of the greatest business minds of our day, Steve Ballmer, has just been more than I could have imagined.
Well, the brand has certainly evolved from the sale day, let's say, under Steve Ballmer's ownership and your stewardship. Where do you see the brand going?
It's a great question, and it's one that I think that after 4 years, we feel very confident in being able to answer. So, when you look back at when Steve took over the team and I first started here, you sort of have this dream that there's an ownership change and then blink, there's a brand change that goes along with it. But in today's society, it doesn't work that way. You really have to prove authentically that you are something different before you become that. And I think that's really what we've set out to do over the past 4 years is be out in the community and take the kind of actions on the court and off the court that define the type of team that we are today and that we will be for the future. And with that has come a pretty exhaustive brand study to understand how fans, not just here in the region, think about us, but how they think about us nationally and how they think about us internationally, and really to maximize the opportunities that are there. And we, I think, have been able to find a place that we feel very strongly matches with the community where we are, this idea that LA is this place of dreamers, that people come to knowing that they've got an idea or something that they want to be or be a part of, and that it's going to be really hard and really competitive. But they're going to get there anyway, despite whatever odds they face. They're going to just keep working and working and working and find a way, and that's exactly what the Clippers are about.
So I guess it's 11 million people. I'm not good on my sense-I, but they got Rams, Chargers, LeBron, Olympics, World Cup, LAFC, on and on. How does the competition affect the Clippers' business strategy? Do you collaborate or do you consider these folks competitive?
We're all friends. In fact, the leaders of all 11 of the professional teams here in LA, plus we've got the two major college programs, as you mentioned, the Olympics. So there's so many things that are battling for people's attention and entertainment dollar. But each of us are different, and this is a community that's actually grown. So we're talking about 17.5 million people in the DMA. That's enough for everybody to be successful, particularly since we really do have different demos in a lot of ways and different seasons. So we've all been able to really work together. Of course, when it comes to the other NBA team in town, we're very competitive on the court. We don't want to lose there, but off the court, very collaborative.
See, you added 6 million people from the beginning of that question when I only said there were 11. That's not bad. The NBA, when you think about it, it's always being compared to the NFL as 1 and 1A, and now there are these articles which are fairly meaningless, but they talk about the NBA having the better business profile these days, better reputation. You're seeing the stance on embracing sports gambling and esports. What's your perspective on the health of the NBA business overall and specific trends as well?
Well, I think the NBA, it's a very exciting time for the sport right now. And credit for that, goes to David Stern, but especially to Adam Silver and really what he's done with his stewardship of the sport since he became commissioner. And I think really where he's unique is in his perspective on how he thinks about the league, which is really looking at the world and what's changing globally, what's changing with behaviors of young people, and how the sport is going to change with them. So constant innovation, constant thinking about, how are we going to be better tomorrow? And that aligns so closely with the Clippers brand and what we're about. I think it's part of why, we're so excited about having a place in the NBA and what's going on in the league right now.
And obviously the examples of the front-running stance relative to the quagmire that was sports gambling now with the MGM deal sounds like you're all headed in the right direction. Is there a long-term understanding of how the gambling revenue and process is going to play out?
I'm not sure that anybody has a clear perspective on that yet. There's an evolution that's going on, and it's going to be one, I think, that takes place slowly. My guess is California will be one of the later adopters, given that it's going to require a legislation change in order to implement here.
Yeah, and obviously, it's going to evolve all over the country. It is important to note that the NBA has been out ahead and will continue to be out ahead in the right way. Let's talk philanthropy for a second. How important is doing great by doing good, and how important is philanthropy in your day-to-day business beyond just traditional ROI?
It's a huge part of what we think about at the Clippers, and a lot of that is really because of Steve and Connie, who have been focused on how utilizing a sports brand, you can extend the value and reach of whatever impact you're able to make in the community. And we've launched on some programs that I think are really quite unique to sports foundations, things that maybe are outside of the traditional wheelhouse. We have things that are clearly within our target area, but for example, we started a program about 3 years ago where we took 5 schools that were in one of the more disadvantaged areas of Los Angeles, and we built a mobile van that we brought to the schools, and we tested every child in these schools for vision issues. And what we found was that this extraordinary number of them in first through third grade, about 30% of them had undiagnosed vision issues. And these are things that lead to misdiagnosis of ADHD or learning disadvantages. And, if it just takes a pair of glasses to give a kid a chance, that's something that we wanted to make sure happened. So in addition to having the van there, we also had a choice of all kinds of different fashion lenses. We fit the kids right there in the van and then came back and brought them their new glasses. And it was really quite an extraordinary program. I mean, being there myself with several of our players and handing out these glasses to many kids who didn't know that they couldn't see, and then they put them on for the first time, and the looks on their faces was something that, is an emotion you just can't capture. So we've been able to expand that program. First, we took it to the city of Inglewood and to check to see if we could scale it. We went to every child, kindergarten through 12th grade, and tested them all. It's about 12,000 kids in that school district. Then a year ago, we took it to Long Beach and finished that program there with about 80,000 kids. And then, just this past season, we had announced that we're taking on the big kahuna, all 640,000 kids at LAUSD, and we'll be doing the same. So, effectively solving the vision issue for youth in Los Angeles permanently, because after the first time they're tested, we have a program that is in place that we've tapped through legislature and insurance that helps make sure that they keep their glasses up to date.
What have you done for me lately? It's a huge program, and I guess one of the pressures that always befalls an executive is the tension between doing all of this and spending whatever it takes and seeing some direct benefit with ROI, I guess from the top, you don't feel that much pressure because there is always the incentive to do the right thing and make sure you do it well.
I think, our overall philosophy from a team perspective is that community is brand building, and that these types of things that you can do, important things that really make a difference, and it may be for many of these people that they will never come to a game. They won't step foot in the arena. They couldn't name our coach. They don't know the name of a single one of our players, but they're still really, really glad that the Clippers are in their hometown, and that's really what we're going for.
Obviously. You came to pro basketball after many years at Fontana Auto Club Speedway, and give me your comparison of the skills and experience, similarities, differences. How did that 9 years prepare you for these 4?
In so many ways, and I think probably the biggest one is the experience of, from the very beginning, building and opening of the Kansas Speedway. That project has really served me well over the past, say, year and a half or so as we've been exploring building a new arena in the city of Inglewood. And having had the experience of having gone through that process, so many things of what I've seen there we're experiencing again. But if I also took all of the operations experience in running events of the magnitude of these NASCAR races, and being able to really think about how those operations work as you're able to build an arena from scratch and worry about the things that, I think many times get looked at after the fact as opposed to from the very beginning. What is the flow of trash as you're constructing the facility so that you can be sure that it doesn't cross over the areas where fans will be interacting. They seem like they're small things, but I think they end up being very big, and it gives me a lot of confidence that ultimately we are going to end up with this magical place that Steve envisions, the best basketball facility anywhere in the world.
Next in line. So, yeah.
We can't wait.
Yeah, I understand. As the new school year begins, obviously you are a mentor and an inspiration to other women. What advice would you give to young women considering a career in sports?
It's funny. I am asked this type of question a lot, and I've come to embrace it more and more, particularly over the course of the past year as we've developed our relationship with Bumble. It's really talked about female empowerment and this idea that there are so many women who are their own worst enemies, that they sort of look out at something and say, wow, I would love to do that, but somehow they don't believe they're capable of doing it. And what I think is important, especially for young people, is to have those dreams, but part of those dreams should be, and I am capable. I can do this.
Yep, and they should look up to you to do that. And I guess the final really important question for you is you graduate Hamilton College in New York, and what is someone who has a degree in creative writing and religious studies doing running one of the foremost sports properties in the world? How did that happen?
Rick, I am a huge proponent of a liberal arts education. I think that, you're looking at kids who are 17, 18 years old, and you ask them to make a decision about what they want to do for the rest of their lives. And the idea that they would know that answer at that age, I think, is just unfair. But a liberal arts education gives you the foundation to really know who you are and to learn skills that can translate into almost any field. If you can learn to speak well, to write well, to think well, to be able to create a convincing argument, these are the types of things that a liberal arts education provides, and it really gives you the opportunity to do absolutely anything in your future. So unless you're very specific about the idea that you have something that you're so passionate about, that's your dream, I feel like a liberal arts education is really the best way to go.
And you clearly took it to a level that is beneficial for the city of Los Angeles, the NBA, the Lakers, and everybody else. Gillian Zucker, wonderful speaking with you. Rick Horrow, speak with you soon.